How do you come to acceptance of something like that? Like, how do you have acceptance for something that, like, I guess you just answered it, not but a couple of minutes ago, about knowing that it was me, that I planned this. You know what I'm saying? Like, the world didn't do that to me. I did it to myself, and for good reason,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And you not and think about this or feel this. I'm trying to say think about less. You by you saying it's hard to accept it, again, who's the you that thinks it's hard to accept it? It's not the real you. It's the
Mm-hmm.
false Erica. It's
Mm-hmm.
but by you saying that it's like, how do I accept it? You're surrendering the truth. You're still playing that game, right? It's full responsibility to say, ah, I created this. I chose this. This was a game that I wanted to play. I set this up this way. That's amazing. To me, that's what acceptance is owning your creation, owning what you've set up for yourself and what you're in, owning that persona and actually coming to a place of like full realization of gratitude of like, wow, what a crazy game I set up. Like what an intricate way to set up this catalyst that that helped me to wake up again, because that's what it did. And that's why you're here. And that's amazing. You're not in the darkness anymore. You know what's going on. But it's the only reason you're having trouble is because there's still that conditioned part where you get sometimes lost back in the old identity. But it's like you're here right now. It's already there. There's nowhere to get to. It's already here. And the more that you realize that, the more you accept what's happened and you allow her to be there when she shows up. And the more that you realize that that's not you, but you have compassion because a lot of her is dying right now.
Like, it's
That's
like I'm
scary for
breaking,
her.
like, little pieces of me are breaking off, right? So, like,
Yeah.
so the light's
Yeah.
coming in, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's just, I can I can feel it to some extent. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in kindergarten, we did a classroom thing where we had caterpillars that went into the cocoon, and me and two other guys were like playing with the jar, and the cocoon broke. And I think we were coming from a place of like trying to get the butterfly to come out. And then the it died in the cocoon. And the teacher was very upset and she was very harsh with us. And that was a whole other thing. But um I say that because you're in this rush during the cocoon phase where you are turning into that goo. The imaginal cells are just all being mixed together, and so many pieces of Erica are dying, are being taken away, and you're in resistance to it, and you're trying to force it and like just get there to some destination instead of being in the allowance of like thank you God, thank you universe for taking everything away that's not me. Like thank you that I'm even in this process. That's amazing. Do you feel that? The
You
difference
do.
with that? Because if you try to force it and you're in resistance to the process, you're acting from the character. Because
Mhm.
the real you knows there's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to actually do. It's just to be in presence and realize that right now in the moment, you're already that. And that's going to be, ironically, what allows those false pieces to fall away faster because you're in receiving mode. You're not tense. You're not trying to control anything. You're letting God do what it does at its own divine timing, not yours.
Mhm.
And again, ironically, when you're in that place, everything happens way faster. But don't let the ego come in and be like, all right, it's a formula. Like, okay, it goes faster if I'm present. You know what I mean? Yeah, you don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Okay. So here's another thing too. Like you answered one of the questions of what's emotionally pulling you. Remember, your emotions are the strongest force in the universe. So where those are going, where the hooks are, those have got to be examined and those have got to be checked. Okay. So one of the things for many of us on this path too, is poverty consciousness,
Mm.
right? And in this place of linearity and going back into the old character mode of like, am I going to have enough? Am I going to have enough to support myself? Am I going to have enough to whatever? Right? That's going back into illusion. That's going back into the perceiving that there's not enough. And if you try to do that conceptually, your ego is going to be like, no, that's fucking stupid. I'm looking at my bank. There's nothing in there. Like, how are we going to do this? Right? I had to live out of my car for a while to learn this lesson. Be negative my bank account for literally years to learn this thing, to learn how this works. Um, you'll get to a place where you don't get emotionally hooked by that anymore, and that you allow your bank account to be whatever it is because it's a miscreation. That's not the real you. That was everything that's happening is a result of the false you, the character Erica. And as you come into your divine nature, it's like, oh, great. Okay, cool. Here's what's going on around me. Like, I accept it. I allow that. That's what's happening. That wasn't my conscious creation. That was coming from scarcity. That was coming from survival. I'm also here to purge that level of consciousness and alchemize that poverty consciousness into abundance, into wealth by knowing that God is inside of me and God is abundance. Everything is energy. Energy is all around me. And my circumstances are not going to hook me emotionally anymore and tell me what truth is. That's an
Mhm.
illusion. That's the five senses lying to you. That's getting sucked into the material world, which is not the place that you want to play in anymore. And that takes a level of trust because your ego that wants to control, your mind that wants to control and thinks it knows things, wants to look at the outside, wants to look at the bank account, wants to look at what's going on and say, this is what's true. And it's not. That's the dream. So, practically, because there is a practical piece to this, when you find yourself, because unconsciously, right, you'll have that thought of not enough, and then you'll grab onto it and it'll start looping. And then you'll start feeling something from that. That part of you needs to know that what the truth is. That part of you needs to know that you're okay. You got everything that you need, and you go into gratitude of like, I'm so fucking grateful that I'm at this point where the light of awareness is coming to these things and abundance is just flowing into me. And you're already going into a place of gratitude for the things that aren't here yet. You're already going into a place of gratitude for all the abundance that's flowing into your life because you're waking up. And that's your birthright. That's who you are. You're not going to be in the darkness of poverty anymore. You're here to transcend that. But you cannot let your emotions get hooked into that because that's you giving your power to outside circumstances and into survival. That puts you down into your lower centers of energy. And you just got to take a breath, reset your nervous system, and catch
Is
that
that
as
what
much
you
as you can.
is that
What's
what
that?
you did? Is that what you did? Because I know you said you spent a lot of time in your car and like, is that what you
Yeah.
did to help yourself come out of all of that? Was constantly resetting your nervous system and staying present. Is that what you did to get out of that?
I realized like this is the first pillar. You take a breath, you realize, oh, I am actually the creator of my experience. 100% I take full responsibility of that. The lack that I'm perceiving right now, the me being in my car, that was a creation that was coming from an unconscious fear that was playing itself out to get to be a catalyst for me to get back to this, the knowingness of I am a creator. My imagination is what's real, and where I send my thought energy to and what I put my feeling energy into, that's what grows. That's what the algorithm gives back to me. That's what God gives back to me. God blesses me the way that I bless myself. And if I keep blessing myself with fear and lack, I'm just going to keep fucking getting that. And that's so dumb. That's so silly. right? Like if I say I'm a spiritual person or I'm here to be a new earth leader or any of that shit, it's like, well, you're being a dummy if you're still creating fear and lack and you're still feeding that into the algorithm and you're still giving that out. So I think it was the full recognition of that and keeping that at the forefront of my consciousness every day, where I was like, I'm not gonna, why would I do that? That's
Yeah.
crazy for me to send out lack vibration. What, knowing that I'm just gonna get that back to me. Like that's nuts to do that. And so my logic even bought into it. It was like, oh, yes, we don't want this lack. That's terrible. But in the don't wanting of it, we're saying we don't have, and then we're creating more of what we don't have.
Right.
So when I was in a place of presence and it was like, what do I choose? Oh, I choose to be abundant. I choose to be the source of money. I am money. Money is a currency that's an extension of me, and it's always flowing and it's easy and it's effortless. And I just have to be myself and it's going to come to me. The opportunities are flowing to me. Thank you, God, for restoring my finances, for giving me all the material needs that I need for this earthly life. Like, thank you. Like that's when I was using the power of my energy, right? So that's the how do I. It's full responsibility that it's you. It's all you. And you cannot keep sending energy to places that are going to create things you don't want.
Right.
Like only the conditioned ego mind would do that shit because it doesn't get that. That's what we're popping out of. That's what you got to catch. And that's and start coming into this exciting place of like, what would I like to create? Okay, what would a life of abundance feel like? Hey, feel it right now because right now is all we ever have. There's no future, there's no past. It's just right here. Are you sending out abundance energy? Are you being grateful for the things that you're not seeing in the outside world yet, knowing that they're coming because you know that you're God and everything is given? The blessings are all here already for you to align with. That's true wisdom.
Hmm.
The ego's stupidity, lots of love to you, but it just doesn't get that. And you have to be the one to anchor that in because your ego, like it, my ego loves feeling safe and he loves when money comes in and he's able to do things that are fun and he has more freedom. Like he loves that. And I'm like, hey, buddy, that's where we're going. I got you. I'm taking you there. Trust me. Look it. We're writing down all the synchronicities that are going on. We're looking at all the crazy ways money just comes in out of nowhere. Like I was saying this that we had a fire the other night with a bunch of friends and it was a great conversation, but I was like, wow, I'm really in this place for the first time in this last year where I don't even have to think about paying my bills anymore because I just know it's taken care of. And it doesn't matter what my bank account says. It really doesn't. I just know every time they're all done. It's all set. And then every time I pay a bill, I'm stoked. I'm like, yes, that bill is paid. Boom. I'm fucking abundant, baby. And it's not like, oh no, ugh, because I know that sending out that energy is just what is coming back to me. So like any money that I send, it comes back to me times 10. Any bills that I pay, anywhere that I invest in myself, it comes back to me times 10. I don't not even a thought. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is actually it's actually intelligence. It's spiritual intelligence and not stacking these things up on a bookshelf and getting addicted to videos and like I went through all of that, so I know that super well. This is about practically, Erica, doing these things now, putting this wisdom to use now.
The seeking, like you just said, on watching all the videos and this and this and this, like how foolish
Addiction.
I feel that this whole time I've been like looking, like I'm telling you, it's been years. Like I've been on since 2018, right? Since 2018, when I overdosed and died, and they brought me back or whatever. I decided to come back. Um, uh,
Yes.
yeah. Um, I've just been looking and searching and seeking, which is also lack, right? All I have to do is
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. And here's the thing, there's nothing to feel foolish about. I did it for like 10 years.